Hey everybody, this is Tim with Op-Ed Daily. I'm here to talk today about race and the fact that there are racists everywhere, where we work, in our government, in our homes, in our schools, students, teachers, you name it, there's a racist or somebody afraid of race somewhere. And I just want to categorize a few things here. And first, I'll point out this article that brought this to my attention, or at least got me thinking about it, from Alternate, why white people freak out when they are called out about race. This is a great article. It's funny because it lays out this pervasive thing in our society where when somebody just mentions racism or racists, there is this, I don't know, behavior that comes out in typically white people, that they become defensive. They start to antagonize this thought process. They begin to lash out against whomever uh, says that they're racist or makes that claim. And it's funny because maybe those people aren't racists. Maybe that's true. But if you are to even mention this, in a lot of cases, you will get some backlash from loads of different people. There was a YouTube clip not too long ago where this white redneck, I mean, just hillbilly, backwoods, countrified dude, just blatantly says, I didn't vote for Obama because he's black. I mean, just open about it. I mean, doesn't even try to sugarcoat it at all. And I made a comment on there that basically said this is okay in our society for people to think like this. And it is because we live in a free society. And there's nothing wrong with people having something against a certain color or, or a certain type of person, an emo person or a hick or a redneck or whatever. We all have these thoughts and we all have these prejudgments about certain types of people. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's human nature to be prejudiced. But there's a difference between being racist in your own personal views and being racist when it actually affects other people. Because unless you're actually hurting another person based off of their color, there's nothing technically wrong with it. For example, that redneck guy that openly stated he didn't vote for Obama because he's black. Well, that guy cannot. That guy doesn't have to vote for Obama for whatever reason he sees fit, whether it's an abortion issue or just because he's a Democrat. It doesn't matter his reasoning behind why he doesn't vote. So that's a non-issue for me. But one thing to point out is that that guy probably doesn't affect the lives of anybody else that's black because he probably lives in a community full of white people. He probably works at a job that is full of white people. He probably would never be a manager at a place with that kind of an attitude because the business could easily be sued uh, based off of racial discrimination, because if he's that open about it, there's a pretty good chance he is that open about it around the people that he hangs out with. So that actually isn't harmful in our society to have people like that. What's more harmful are the people that hide it. They hide it in plain sight. They will pretend like they are not racist. You bring up racism and they'll get mad and they'll say, well, racism doesn't exist in this country. Look, we have a black president. This is something I hear all the time. And they'll get really upset about it, and they will argue tooth and nail against your assertion that there's racism active in this country. But then those same people will turn around and they'll have their own personal prejudices, their own personal biases, which is okay because we live in a free country and we can have that. But they'll turn around and they will do things that actively affect the lives of other people. So, for example, if one of these people is in charge of hiring at their workplace? Do you think they're going to give a black person a job, or a Native American a job, or a Chinese person a job if they have these underlying racist issues? Probably not. But nobody is going to accuse them of being racist because they didn't come out in the open and say, hey, I'm a racist. I don't like black people. Because if they did, they probably wouldn't be in the position that they're in. So that's the most critical part of this whole racist issue, is not to focus on the people that are openly racist and that make these blatant comments about racism, but it's the ones that are quiet about it. They don't want to openly state it because they know it's not socially acceptable anymore to be a racist, to openly spout these things. They're going to um, disenfranchise themselves from society or ostracize themselves from society when they act in this way. So they hold it back. And then the only way to note that they are a racist is to point it out to them and point out their actions, the way that they treat other people, like police officers. You're probably not going to see very many police officers get in front of a camera and say, well, I don't like these niggers because of this, and I don't like these niggers because of that. Of course not. How many news cycles do you think it would take before that story went away? Probably quite a few. So instead, these police and whomever else, the people that hire their people, they're going to hold that back. And they're going to lie to themselves. They're going to convince themselves that they are not racist. But when it comes right down to it, and it's a matter of signing off on hiring this black person or this Chinese person or whomever, they won't do it because they're automatically going to assume that this person is not going to be a good employee because he is black or whatever. So that needs to be the focus. In this article, and I'm going to leave a link down below for everybody to read it. It really is funny. Let's see. Robin DiAngelo, professor of multicultural education at Westfield State University, um, comes up with a phrase called white fragility, which she defined as a state in which even a minimum amount of racial stress becomes intolerable, triggering a range of defensive moves. These moves include outward display of emotions such as anger, fear, and guilt, and behaviors such as argumentation, silence, and leaving the stress including inducing situation. And if you go to a YouTube clip that talks about racism and whether it exists or not in this country, you are going to see that. And it's so obvious. And D'Angelo is right on the money with this because typically the people that get really upset about it are white people, because they don't want to acknowledge that these things exist. They don't want to acknowledge that there are closet racists, even even if the majority of the time they are racist, because they don't want to feel as if black people don't have any, don't aren't equal in this nation. Because if black people were equal, and let's say black people commit majority of the crimes, which per capita I guess you could say that they do, or at least they're the ones that get caught doing them the most or jailed for them the most. um, then they could use the argument, well, look at all these bad things that these black people are doing. Look at this. They rape more people. They kill more people. They kill themselves. This. If we acknowledge that there isn't an equality in this country, and if we acknowledge that black people have it harder than white people, then that argument that it's their own fault kind of goes out the window. If you are feeling oppression, if you are an oppressed person, the way you react to things is going to be different from somebody else. So I think it's important that we start acknowledging this fact and we start having this discussion so that we can move past all of this racist stuff. If you agree or disagree, feel free to comment. If you like what you hear, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'd like to um, talk more about this kind of things later. So for now, that's all, but I will catch you on the flip side.